Niggas trending on Twitter? Fuck. Now I'm at the pub, I told my way to get in it. I look up in the VIP, my goodness, there I am. I say no to him, let me in, but he won't let me.
Good morning, LaLa. I'm Dr. Erin.
Hi, I'm Rob Mack.
And I'm Jessica Moyer. This is Good Morning LaLaLand, America's first live streaming daily talk show coming to you Monday through Friday at 9 a.m.
Right, today is all about Transformation Tuesday. We're actually going to talk about beauty from the inside out. We're going to hear one woman's inspirational story of how one thing transformed her entire career here in Los Angeles. And then we're also going to talk to one man who is highly in demand about his journey here in Hollywood.
Love it.
Right?
Full house tonight.
Today, this morning.
Transformation Tuesday. And one of the things I love most about being part of this Focus TV network is the ability to really capture how one moment can truly transform your entire life. Whether that be an audition like Alicia, or a book, an accident, there's always been a moment that transformed people's lives.
Right, and our guests had a moment together, right? So I'm
did.
excited to hear about that.
Yes, we're definitely going to talk about it later in the show, but we have a very special look at a series called My Life. We have a special sneak peek of Mark Teschner. We will interview him later in the show, but let's take a look at his life.
Casting director for General Hospital, and this is my life. I was born in New York City. I was raised in Scarsdale, New York. I have been a casting director for 35 years. My best casting is my 13-year-old daughter, Amelia. I love what I do. I love being a part of a process that's creative, that I get to work on something I love every day. Out of all the jobs I've had, and I've cast a lot of different things, General Hospital has been my favorite job of all time. And I try to be supportive of actors because without an actor, I don't have a career. And this is my life.
So cool. We had a great little conversation before the show about him, being a parent, and I'm a parent as well, and just that journey and how all of it is great, but being a parent is just, there's something even extra, like special in the dynamics of all of it, being a parent. So big shout out to all the kids out there.
Absolutely.
Being a parent will truly transform your life. Hashtag Transformation Tuesday, right?
That's right.
We are so excited. We have two very special guests in the house with us. This is Mr. Mark Teschner, 8-time Emmy Award winner, an additional 7 nominations for those Emmys. Whoa!
That's crazy.
Good morning, Mark.
Hey.
Hey. We also have Alicia Oxley. She is the creator and author of Life Letter. She's also got an insanely cool podcast called That One Audition. Good morning, Alicia. Thank you so much for being here today.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
So here at Good Morning LaLaLand, we like to know, how do you start your day? What's your morning routine like?
Me or Mark?
You.
Let's start
Me.
with you. You're the transformational expert.
Wow.
Let's roll with it, baby.
That's a lot of intensity. Well, I do start my morning with my daughter, who sings to me from the other room. If she's still singing, I go to my special room, which is the closet. Many moms know this out there. It's a closet laundry room that I've converted into my pseudo office, and I stay in there if she's continuing to sing, and I meditate, and I write three pages every morning. So morning pages. Anybody that's familiar with the Artist's Way, I practice that every morning.
What is the Artist's Way morning pages? Can you tell me about that?
So the Artist's Way it's a 12-step program for creatives, and they're one step that is essential for every day, and you write 3 pages. So it's just kind of like a brain dump of what kind of might be stuck from getting you to kind of go on with your day. So yeah, so 3 pages.
Were these pages anything to do with these pages?
I ironically did the Artist Way right before I wrote this book.
I don't believe that was ironic at all. You
No.
believe in signs, I believe in signs.
I do, yes, yeah. It got me to a place where I felt like, kind of like an open portal. I think when you write or you meditate, practice daily, all of a sudden you'll start to get those hits, or there's some clarity that comes through.
Ah, so beautiful. I can't wait to read more about this.
Right?
Yes. Mark, how do you start your day? What's your morning routine?
Well, hopefully I wake up.
Today's a good day.
Of course, that's the goal. And then, I try to meditate for about 20 minutes before I put on CNN and the news of the day, which is usually depressing, but I try to create some time for me. And then on mornings that my daughter is with me, I get up a little extra early to get her to school, so that becomes my priority. And then I head to work, and then it's, you know, off to the races. So I try to get those moments to relax and center myself before the craziness of a daily day.
It's really interesting how you must truly stay very balanced and grounded, because I can only imagine the bundle of nerves that come into your room, audition after audition after audition, and to not absorb that must be a great exercise.
I never really thought of it that way, but now that you're mentioning it, it's true. I'm taking on a lot of energy. And you know, for some roles I'll read 200, 300, 400, 500 people. That's a lot of energy to take on. But what I always try to do is be very present with the actor and just create a warm environment where they can do good work. And I think from the get-go, it can help diffuse that nervous energy where they feel like, oh, I'm in a room with somebody that's paying attention, that's creating a kind environment. I think a lot of that energy then goes away, and then their energy can be about the work.
Well, that just speaks so highly of your energy, Mark, and how incredible your light is to be able to really change that dynamic for the room.
For sure.
Well,
It's really special. Well, thank you both so much for being here. We can't wait to talk to you more later in the show.
Right? Amazing human beings, for sure. So one thing, actually, I mean, you know, I think that we all have those pivotal moments for sure. I know I've had mine. I talk a lot about when I had my stillborn, and things can be positive, they can be negative, and in my opinion, no matter what happens, there are moments that transform our entire lives. What were those for you guys?
Jess?
Well, I've had several moments, I would say, that transformed my life. One being a pool party. I was being very responsible on a Sunday, got invited by this producer to go to a pool party, and I thought, okay, it's, you know, it's Hollywood, it's networking. So I went, and I actually met an incredible group of people. Fast forward to, those are the very people that introduced me here to Focus TV. From this, then I got Good Morning LALALAND, created this show, this incredible community, the platform. Next thing you know, I'm walking the halls of General Hospital to meet Mark Tushy.
Right, there you go.
I mean, that was one of the first shows I ever remembered watching as a kid. I would come home early from school, and my mom and I would sit there and watch it together. And I thought, wow, this is really full circle. Here I am in Port Charles. Wow.
Isn't it mind-blowing?
Mind-blowing. It was really like one moment transformed my entire life. I went to a pool party.
Yeah, it's such a good point, and sort of the longer I live and the more I look back, the more I feel like almost all moments I've ever had are pivotal. Like,
I know.
It's hard to
How do you
remove
pick
one.
I know.
Yeah, it's
right?
so challenging. I'd say that for me there were at least 3. The day I decided not to kill myself, that was huge.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's a
We
good
like
one.
that
Very
one.
good one. Very good one. The day I decided to move to Miami, I was so confused about my life. I didn't know anything. But the one thing I knew was I wanted sunshine, I wanted sand, I wanted the beach. I acted on the one thing I knew, moved to Miami. And then the third thing, I would have to say that when I was in Miami, you know, I was doing like this entertainment stuff because I was working as a consultant before that, but I had moved on from that because I hated that work and was making me suicidal.
Right.
So I moved on and did entertainment work for a while, and I remember mostly just wanted to spend most of my days at the pool. I wasn't booking anything ever. And I remember a friend, a pretty hot female friend of mine, said, hey Rob, can you give me a ride to the casting? Are you going? And I said, no, I'm gonna chill I'm not gonna book that, I'm staying at the pool. And she said, please, you know, can you give me a ride? I said, you know, I'll give you a ride, but I don't know if I'm gonna go in. We'll see. I'm really happy right now at the pool, and my focus is happiness. So I picked her up. I only had a scooter, of course, because I love scooters. So I picked her up on the scooter. We go. Next thing I know, they're like, hey, it was supposed to be just for like a short little extra part. We go to the casting. Then they said, hey, they pulled me aside and said, hey, do you want to read some lines? And I said, not really. I don't think I'll do that great, you know, honestly. I'm like, well, just try it. I read the lines, booked the role. And that led to a series of events that I could never have imagined. And so those 3 moments for me are especially pivotal.
Nice.
What about you, Erin?
Well, I mean, I talk a lot about having a stillborn at 22, and as hard, as difficult as that seems, it actually was the biggest blessing of my life because it set me on my path of becoming a doctor of divinity, really, truly doing my own healing and awakening for sure. So that for me is the most pivotal thing. You know, all the other things, I think it's like you. It's like there's so many synchronicities in every single action that we take, and it's like the butterfly effect of every single thing when you get how profound every breath, every encounter you have with a person, everything is so profound. So, you know, just doing the inner work for sure.
I absolutely agree with you, and I think for me personally, my most pivotal moments have always been the moments when I made a decision. I've gotten really clear and really decisive, and sometimes I'm not decisive about the specifics, but I would say that by far and large, the decision to simply be happy has been by far the most pivotal.
even when I couldn't make a decision, and the universe made a decision for me. Yeah, you know, it was when I hurt my hand, that was really a pivotal, changing, transformational part of my life, but for the better. I learned a lot of good lessons.
Well, on that note, I love that. Let's take a little break. When we come back, we're actually going to talk a little bit about some decisions of having beauty from the inside out. Because I think that one thing on the show, we have so many inspirational stories. We talk about motivation, we talk about transformation, dating, love, relationship. But we really want to focus on Tuesdays. Our second segment is now going to be about beauty from the inside out. So stay tuned. When we come back, we're going to ask go to the back studio, find out a little bit about their beauty from the inside out, and then talk about that. So we'll be right back.
It was a hot week in La La Land. I'm Jasmine Moyer, co-host of Good Morning La La Land with our associate producer, Ms. Victoria Simone, and we're here to tell you all about it. On Monday, we welcomed Robbie Hayes to the studio. You've seen him on The Bachelorette, and he has a new company, Leisureletics.
What?
Hot. Tuesday, we welcomed Sean Kushner, aka Kush. Wednesday, we celebrated with Annalyn McCord and Together One Heart, freeing women from slavery. We had Focus TV family in Sassoon in-house.
Namaste all day. Thanks for tuning in to This Week in La La Land. I'm Victoria Simone. Jez.
Bye. It's going to be a good morning, La La Land.
Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in to This Week in Focus. My name is Victoria Simone, producer here at Focus TV Network, America's first live streaming daily talk show network. And today I have my girl helping me out,
Jasmine Moyer, co-host of Good Morning La La Land.
So last week on the Focus TV Network, we shot Reshape with Ali Landry.
And special guest, Ross Matthews.
We had the Alyssa Goodman Show.
With the original Iron Chef herself, Kat Cora.
What? I'm so excited to announce our newest show, The Lisa Torres Show, Jeslyn, who was on Good Morning La La Land.
We had a great week full of guests, including Robbie Hayes from The Bachelorette.
Hot!
Annalyn McCord celebrating Together One Heart, and In Sassoon, beauty and wellness advocate.
Can I say triple hot? Thank you guys for tuning in to This Week in Focus. Jez, thanks for helping me out. Bye.
Hang on.
You want to do it again?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
I know everything. That's all we could say with all the freaking lists that you gave me. Soul Reboot with Allison Charles. And I was supposed to say Ross Matthews. Fuck, I forgot. Jeslyn's so mad at me now.
no, I don't care.
Russian cabbage.
Trust, then verify.
Yes. You keep doing that. The Lisa Torres Show with, do I say Lisa Torres? No. Okay.
Awkward. Okay.
Is it helping? You okay with this music in the background?
No.
All right, how long are we doing this game?
That is definitely not going in the blooper roll. Live from Los Angeles, welcome back to Good Morning La La Land. We are honoring hashtag Transformation Tuesday, and this segment is all about beauty from the inside out. We have two very special guests with us in the studio today. Good morning, Mr. Mark Teschner. He is the casting director for ABC's long-running General Hospital, along with actress, author, podcaster, Alicia Oxy. Good morning.
Good morning.
So we're wondering, as we're talking about beauty from the inside out, what does beauty mean to you? What does it look like? What does it feel like? Alicia, let's start with you.
What does it look like? What does it feel like? Well, I'm a mom, so it looks like my daughter's smile. It feels like her giggle, her joy to me. Beauty from the inside out for me really, I have this auditory thing that when people speak their truth, that it literally, I hear vibrations in my ears. So that to me is beauty, truth. Just true essence of your core is how I see, how I see beauty.
Speaking our language.
I'll drink to that.
Right?
Wow. Mark, what about you?
Well, first of all, I was born beautiful, so it already emanates, and I also am moisturized. So that's my outer beauty. You know, inner beauty for me is about, you know, I've always had a positive outlook on life. All of us have had challenges, but somehow I've always seen the glass half full. But I've really connected to, in the last few years, gratitude. And for me, that's where the inner beauty is, where I try to wake up every morning, and no matter what the challenge is, being grateful about life. It's a very humbling thing, and that's, for me, what inner beauty is about.
Beautifully said, Mark.
You know,
Ditto to that.
I was driving yesterday, and MapQuest or Waze took me a route that I have never been on, and I literally drove on a street that was 25 tents of homeless people. Like, I'd never been on this street, and it was literally one beautiful street to this, and I thought, how can you not have gratitude? There are people that are literally trying to figure out where their next meal is going to come from, and that's that was very humbling.
Wow. Absolutely. That's one of the most beautifully tragic things, I think, about La La Land is the sadness that truly borders some of the most beautiful places that are in this state, in this country. And it's just an opportunity for us to really take a moment to be grateful and then help transform others' lives. It's our universal responsibility, right?
Wow,
For
absolutely.
sure, absolutely. So excited to dive deeper with you guys in the third segment. Thank you so much for coming.
It's so interesting what Mark said there, because there's a guy I see at least 5 times a week. He's homeless, and he always walks somehow where we cross each other's paths. And every single time I see him, he looks me dead in the face, dead in the eye, and says, "Make it a great day, brother. It's going to be a great day." Every single day. The guy's homeless.
Wow.
Okay? And he says it with such conviction, you can't help but feel how true and sincere he is as he says it.
Wow.
And I just think it's profound. So it's, that point on gratitude is everything. And it's a decision that you make that's not to say that a lack of money, a lack of health doesn't make things don't make things difficult. But you still get to make a decision.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So speaking of Transformation Tuesday, because we all want to transform, we want to make a difference in the world, but we do have to start with ourselves, because if we're not well, if our health isn't well, if our mental abilities are not well, really hard to help anyone else in the world. So we're going to talk about beauty from the inside out, something that's been calling to us. We've had a lot of people reaching out around everything from products to have our health better to the clothes that we wear to how we get our mind right. So let's break this on down. First of all, I wanted to say that it's really fascinating because I'm actually feeling better today. I don't know if you guys knew, but I was not feeling well for, 1 to 2 days. I felt like I had the flu. And I was like, what's going on? I've had the flu quite a few times since I've moved to LA. It seems like I used to get sick maybe once a year. Now it's kind of like becoming more. So, it's fascinating because I want to talk to you guys about what's going on from a body, mind, spirit perspective of beauty from the inside out. So Hippocrates was considered the father of health. In fact, if you become a doctor, you have to take the Hippocrates oath now. It's altered quite a bit. But it comes down to this one thing for the body. The body, if we want a beauty from the outside, we've got to have beauty from the inside. That means we need to have beautiful cells, okay? So how do we do that? It basically comes down to detoxing the cell and having the right nutrition for the cell, because our bodies have this naturally endowed ability to heal itself, to do miracles in the body, but we need to have we have to have healthy cells. To have a beautiful life, we have to break it on down to the healthy cells. So detoxing and giving it the right nutrition. From a mental perspective, so body, mind, the mind needs to have a healthy mindset. We've got to have a healthy mindset, hence a lot of our conversations on here.
Yeah, it's so interesting. That's what Karen Lori was saying yesterday on the show.
Someone's calling.
Right now.
It's probably your mom being like, yes, hit that point, Jen.
Amen.
Well, that's what, that was what Karen Lori was saying, how interconnected her mind and her body was when she played that role of a pregnant woman. Actually, on one of the soap operas, her mind tricked her body into thinking she actually was pregnant. It's so fascinating.
So fascinating. We have power. Mind's the most powerful for sure. And then spiritually, we're connected to everything. And so our environment's very important for us to have an environment that supports and assists us in having a healthy mindset and body and everything else. So beauty from the inside out really starts from within. So what happened actually, why I realized that I was probably getting sick, was actually I don't know if you guys know, but we have more cells or bacteria than human cells in our body. In fact, the average person has about roughly 40 trillion bacteria cells versus 30 trillion human cells.
Erin, that sounds about as unsexy as it can. What do you mean I'm walking bacteria?
Right?
Basically, you're a petri dish.
So, okay,
I have to design your dress on. I am not bacteria.
yeah, so if you're dealing with anything like chronic fatigue, any kind of brain fog, all that stuff, if you're human, you're probably dealing with some of the stuff, right? So you have to have, we have a lot of sugar in our diets, a lot of processed foods, so we have to actually have some of our bacteria, yeast cleansing, right? It doesn't mean that you have to have extreme yeast issues to want to do a yeast cleanse. Like, this is something that should be part of our normal lives, right? So I started taking some herbs just to, make sure, things are all in check. And it's called die-off. So if you have too much of your bacteria die, it actually creates toxins in the body and will create flu-like symptoms. So
or it's
I
just
had
a flu.
or it's been a flu. This is
Or that.
flu, right? But fascinating, right?
No, it really truly is. So you're saying, like, from a molecular, bacterial, cellular level, that's going to affect how you actually feel, how you actually look.
100%, no question about it. So we're going to dive deeper into this on Tuesdays from Beauty from the Inside Out, and there's a lot of things that we need to think about. What does sleep do? What does our diet do? How do we detox? How do we, make sure we have enough exercise? What does that look like? So I really invite everybody to stay tuned on Tuesdays from Beauty from the Inside Out. And if there's any, data or things that you do in your business or have a platform around that, we'd love to hear about it. We'd love to have you on the show as well and get you involved in this segment.
Love it.
Right?
Absolutely.
Fun stuff.
It's all about figuring out what makes us feel good and look good.
Right? And look at you. Look at how good you look in that dress
well,
today.
Thank
You
you,
look good.
Michelle Godric. Yes, I'm loving this dress today.
That
I feel
is
like
the
a goddess.
dress.
Look at these sleeves. Can we
You
have
can-
a Vogue moment
You can get
here?
married, you can just go meditate on a mountain.
Yeah, it's
you
perfect
can
for pretty
do-
much everything.
You can go to red carpet, whatever you want to do, that is the dress.
My mom's now going to be like, you have to have that dress. You can wear it in your wedding.
I feel that way about every single look that you've worn, particularly with Rochelle
Rochelle,
Godric's
yeah,
look.
she nailed it. She's transforming me on Transformation Tuesday. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more on Good Morning La La Land.
Hello, Los Angeles. I am your host and producer, Alex Worley, filming inside Focus TV's West Hollywood studio. Welcome to Empowerista, a show dedicated to highlighting female trailblazers and empowering you to turn your barriers into breakthroughs.
Hey guys, I'm Amy Paprath.
And I'm Justin Walter.
And this is What's Good, the show that's dedicated to positive, uplifting stories from all over the globe.
Welcome to Good Morning La La Land. I'm Dr. Erin.
I'm Rob Mack.
And I'm Jessa Moye.
And we're making history as the first live streaming daily talk show.
This is where all kinds of shit happens.
Monday through Friday, we are going to be streaming to you live, Los Angeles, at 9 a.m. Pacific time on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Alyssa Goodman Show. So Kelly, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Alyssa. This is so fun.
I know.
What's up, Rose girls? I'm Jessica Carroll. Today we're gonna have so much fun because we have fitness personality Katie Austin.
Hey,
we're
thanks for having me on.
with
Cheers.
Katie Austin.
I love it. It
Cheers.
feels like a Saturday.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Millennial Life. I'm your host, Laura Odegaard, and today we are joined by the very beautiful former Miss California and now a TV host, Natasha Martinez. I'm so happy that you're here.
I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
You are tuning in to Slay with Rachel McCourt, and I have a fabulous guest. In studio with me is Liza Glukoff. She's just been named executive producer of programming at Awesomeness TV. I mean, no big deal, but huge. Hi.
Thank you. Hi.
Are we so excited right now?
We are so excited.
I mean,
Thank
we
you for
have
having me.
roses, we have perfect lighting, we've got some Spa Girl vodka in case we get a little crazy.
Hey, Dr. Erin here, teaching universal law and spiritual truth, having a conscious conversation in the heart of Hollywood. And I'm honored to have the guest today, who is Christina Pascucci, who is amazing. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's an honor to be here with you. I so appreciate it.
Today on Moms Matter, we're going to talk about money, 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 something that we all struggle with and we need help with, and that's why we have the fabulous Winnie Sun, who's here with us today.
Aw, thank you.
Thank you so much. I know you've been on MSNBC and Forbes, and you are the money expert.
Hey everyone, welcome back to a new magical episode of Soul Reboot. I am your host, Allison Charles. Please welcome and meet this powerful divine queen whose name is Daphne Wayans. I am so happy to be here with you.
I'm so honored to be here.
Live from Los Angeles. Welcome back to Good Morning La La Land. We have the absolute honor of having Mark Teschner here with us today. 8-time Emmy Award winning casting director. You truly transform people's lives. What a huge responsibility.
Thanks for coming, Mark.
Thank you. I never lose sight of that. I was having a philosophical discussion some years ago. It's like, well, you hire actors. Somebody said, and I said, well, I actually think of it, I transform lives. Now, I don't do it on my own. It has to happen with the actor coming in and creating that. But I like to feel like that I change lives. And I don't necessarily even mean if the actor gets cast. Obviously, if they get cast, something changes for them. But, let's say I'm reading 200-300 people. I can only hire one actor. But I can transform lives by being kind and creating an environment where that actor feels respected and they have dignity. So that when they leave, the transformation is they got to go in a room and do their thing, and they were supported in it. I may be an actor's only audition in their entire career. I mean, because I see a lot of young people for roles, and a lot of times, a lot of people tell me I'm their first audition, but with some, I might be their last as well. So it's like the transformation is at least they had one nice experience in a town that's very tough.
Wow.
It's so profound that you share that. So I'm really have a psychology background, and the one thing we know about therapy is the one quality that transforms people more than any therapeutic approach is unconditional regard and unconditional love. And I love that you provide like this safe space, because it's so nerve-wracking being in an audition, particularly if it's your first or if it might be your last. In either case, it's so nerve-wracking, and I love that you allow people to have that transformative experience. Have you always been this kind person who provided safe space for people, or
I certainly like to think so. I don't know that I'm the judge, but I hope so. When I went to New York after college, I was an actor for 3 years, and I realized I loved the idea of being an actor more than actually being an actor. But when I fell into casting, which relates to your conversation of purely by accident, I was like, I'm going to treat actors the way I wasn't treated. And that was kind of my mantra. Because there were times, you as an actor can feel dismissed. And I was like, I've experienced that, so I won't do that to another actor.
But you're like, the people that you've cast seem to be very down to earth. Like, amazing, the incredible environment that you've created, and having that you're maybe potentially the very first person that they encounter in that entire community says a lot about you. Says a ton.
Well, thank you. I just try to treat an actor the way I would want to be treated as a person.
What's the hardest part of what you do?
There are days where I'm struggling to come up with an idea. So there are challenges to every role. Somebody asked me, what's the hardest role you've ever cast? And I would say the last role. Because I feel like in my mind, I feel like I'm only as good as the last role I've cast. And there are times where I've read hundreds and hundreds of actors for a role, and I just feel on a gut level that I haven't found it. That is the worst feeling for a casting director, when you have this intuitive feeling that you haven't found it yet. That's where you start to feel pressure, and those are the days where it's a struggle.
It's interesting you bring up that intuitive feeling. Tell me about your intuition. Is that what triggers when you know the person is right for a role?
You get if any intuitive person, we meet each other, we have an immediate response, I have a vibe about all of you. I don't like you.
Clearly, she's hard to like. She's really hard to like.
But you get a vibe. So literally, when I walk out in the waiting room to bring each actor in, I immediately have a visceral sense of, first of all, whether right for the role or not, and then is there a presence, is there a charisma? All of those things come in before they even do the work. Now that doesn't mean I won't pay attention, because there are many actors that read for me that aren't right for the role. Maybe they looked right from their photo, but they're not the moment you meet them. I imagine it would be like online dating, where you show up and the person has no resemblance to their profile pic. I've never done it. But I'm still going to give them my attention, because here's why. I have hundreds of roles that I have to cast each year. They might be 5 lines, they might be 10 episodes. So every actor that reads for me, I'm going to try to remember them for other roles that might come up, even if my intuitive feeling is they're not remotely right for this role.
So what would you say is the common denominator? If you were to say this type of a person is most likely going to be successful in Hollywood, would you say there's something that you can...
Well, you can't define charisma or presence. That exists or it doesn't. Although it's subjective, what is charisma and what is presence. The defining thing is their talent. Because there were so many, quote, beautiful people in Hollywood, beautiful men, beautiful women, and that's not enough, because ultimately, and any casting director would say that, it's about the talent and the skill. Is this an actor that can bring to life the complexity of what is written? That actor, if they're hired for a series regular, we shoot 250 episodes a year, they might be in 100, 150 episodes, maybe even 200. Are they going to, the audience is going to get bored with a pretty person that can't act. So for me, the most important thing is the skill level. And even if they're raw, because I've hired for first jobs lots of 18, 19, and 20-year-olds that it was first job ever. But was there something that we saw about the potential? Was there a soulfulness? Was there an innate complexity, even if the skill wasn't there yet? And then you know.
It's interesting because TV Guide said that you had an unparalleled track record for discovering this new talent. What is it about your eye?
Well, my left eye sees better than my right. Let's get that very clear, so that if I see you from the wrong eye, there's no connection. I don't know. It's just there's a lot of great casting directors that have, that do what I do. I spoke on a panel years ago, and a casting director said, what makes a great casting director is great taste, great instincts, and great memory. And I feel like that's a really good definition of what it takes to be a really good casting director.
Well, and great energy, which you clearly have. You so kindly welcomed Focus TV and the Focus Magazine crew, including myself, into your office. And I have to say, I was so excited. I was a little nervous, and we just walked in, and you were just so present and so gracious and so grounded, attentive. I don't know how anybody couldn't walk in and shine. Here's a little look at our experience here.
Oh my God.
Yes, it was so much fun. He's got 8 Emmys lined up.
Wow, look at that. Beautiful.
It's incredible.
How did you feel the moment that you got those Emmys?
It's funny. I love what I do. So the Emmy is the icing on the cake. I would say that the first year I won, after having been nominated 3 times and not winning, that was a relief, because I was the catalyst for creating the Casting Emmy in daytime. It took me 5 years. And then to not win it the first 3 years was like, I felt like, it was a little discouraging.
Right.
And then to finally win, that was the monkey off the back. And then I would say, each feeling is different. I would say a couple of years ago, I took my daughter Amelia with me to the Emmys, and then winning with her there.
Oh.
And my favorite moment of that is people at the table took pictures of her watching me, and just to see the joy and excitement, that was my other favorite Emmy moment. But it's icing on the cake,
right.
when you love what you do.
So we have to ask, with everything going down in Hollywood around, casting couches and all of the crazy insanity stuff going on, What do you think? What do you think about everything? What do you think about the movement of,
I think
you
it's
know,
a very
Time's Up Now?
empowering time, and it's a great movement, and
you must have been like, shh, thank goodness I didn't do anything like
well,
right?
I'm sure
I
everybody
mean-
feels that way, you know, but it's sort of like, some of the things are really hard that you hear, and you almost can't believe them, you know, but they're true. But there's an awareness like I've never seen, and I just think it comes down to respect.
Right. Well, you've got great energy,
Oh,
incredible energy, so dynamic,
coffee.
and really great father, and just so transparent. It's really refreshing. Thank you so much for
My
you know
pleasure to
being
be
you
here.
and coming and taking time for us here.
I love
yeah.
it. You know, any time I can get the word out to actors about the biz, you know, you use the word authentic. I tell actors, you have to be so authentic when you come in the room. Be who you are, own that. Don't try to be what the casting director is looking for. You show me what I'm looking for. Wow.
Have you ever gone, I mean, because I'm sure there's people out there like, have you ever gone to a dinner, you know, somewhere and just been sitting in the bar and met somebody and been like, I think this is the person I want to cast? Does that ever happen?
Not really, because they might not be actors. It's funny, I'm a very social person, but I'm always nervous about going up to somebody and saying, are you an actor? Because they probably get asked that by everybody who's not a producer or whatever. So I'm so guarded.
Interesting.
Years ago, I saw an actress who I thought was an actress in Banana Republic. This was like 20 years ago. And she happened to be viscerally perfect for a role I was casting. And we actually ended up, she was an actress, and we tested her and she didn't get the role, but I was so nervous about going up to her that I went to my wife at the time and said, can you come up to the counter with me? So that I was like, hi, I'm legit, this is my wife, I'm not only an actress, here's my card, it's a real card, and so, but I don't do that a lot.
No, I'm sure not.
You know.
So I'm wondering, what's next for you? I mean, 28 years in casting. Where do you see yourself in the next 5, the next 10? What would you like your career to be?
Well, I'd like to cast for another 28 because I love what I do. I don't necessarily have a plan. I've always gone on, I love what I do. That path takes me to wherever it is. And I love casting and I love working on the show. It's my favorite job. I mean, I've been a casting director for 36 years and 28 of them with General Hospital. And I love it. So I'm just thinking about tomorrow without necessarily having a specific game plan.
It's incredible how present you are with that. So many people are so focused on, this is where I want to be, and you're just so incredibly present and grateful for
I
where
would
you
imagine.
are.
Yeah, it's so true. You feel that immediately when, as soon as I met you, I felt that. And I wonder, that's got to be a huge part of what makes you such a talented casting director, is that you're able to sort of perceive things that maybe other people miss because they're distracted. Do you find that to be the
Well,
case?
hopefully most casting directors don't get distracted, but definitely, it's that gut instinct part of, casting is subjective. You could put 5 casting directors in the room and we might not like the same actor. So the only thing I can go on is trusting my taste and hoping that whoever I work for feels the same way. And in 28 years, I've been through, about 5 executive producers. I don't try to change what I'm doing. I just do my thing. Each producer has their own taste and sensibility, so you get to know that a bit. But at the same time, I don't want to lose my sensibility, so you find a commonality. And so
sure.
I don't think about, oh God, the producer's coming in. What do they like? I bring to them what I like, and
So if someone's out there and they want to get casted by you, how would they go about that?
I would say show up at my place with Sunday brunch. Call me 3 a.m. in the morning. Those are usually ways to get in the show. Shop at Banana Republic, where this sweater came from. No, I just did plug. Are they going to send me stuff? I'm going to work on that. I'm going to go in.
So on that note,
It's just. It's about the hard work. It's about doing the work. I heard this statistic. I don't know if it's like there's 100,000 actors in Los Angeles and like 300 casting directors, something like that. And maybe it's a little extreme on that, but the point is there are many actors for not enough roles. So an actor has to understand they're not going to get in on every role that they feel they're right for. And it is a struggle. But if they stay true to the love of acting and the craft, as opposed to I'm here to make it, which is an impossibility, that will keep them going. And the other thing I tell actors is, you know, we live in a world where, when I first started in casting, or at General Hospital, nobody had a camera, nobody had a phone, nobody could create a demo reel. It was always, well, I'm waiting for the producer to get me the footage. And whenever I hear that, I'm thinking, you're never going to get the footage. It just doesn't work out. We actually live in a time where an actor can create something. So instead of wait, they need to create. Whether it's shooting something on an iPhone. You know, Tangerine was shot on an iPhone. Movies have been shot on iPhone. Steven Soderbergh has shot with an iPhone. Or get together with writers and producers, you know, and create a short film. Because if you're creating something, you're actually, you're getting to act, which makes you a better actor, but you never know who is going to see something that you've created. So I feel like that's the way to approach it.
I love that. Well, we have to take a break.
Sure.
But just listen, don't wait, just create, right? So when we come back, we're here. That's the tweet of the day. Don't wait, just create. So when we come back, we're going to talk to one woman, inspirational story of actually the one moment that you helped her in her career. So stay tuned, you guys. We'll be right back.
Welcome to the Focus TV studios in West Hollywood. I'm Jessamine Moyer, host of the Focus TV network show, LA Unscripted, and co-host of America's first live streaming talk show, Good Morning, La La Land. This is the Focus Magazine preview show and an exclusive sneak peek. Today, I have the privilege to announce the March 2018 issue of Focus Magazine, and we're calling it the Influence issue, featuring amazing personalities making a difference in our local communities. On the cover, we have singer-songwriter and host of Chasing Glory podcast, Lillian Garcia. I had the extreme honor of both interviewing her and writing a feature for the magazine on Lillian. She's truly an influencer on so many levels. Joining her on the cover is my spiritual influencer and co-host of Good Morning, La La Land, Dr. Erin Haskell. And with her is a true professor of influence, Amanda Russell. Also featured in this issue, we have the constructional chef, Scott Harris, executive chef from the Four Seasons Hotel right here in Beverly Hills. Byron Thomas and two members of the Focus TV family and dynamic duo of lifestyle influence, Janet Gunn and Melissa Myers. Also in this issue, we feature Lauren Everts, the founder of the Skinny Confidential, hello gorgeous, and the candle makers Elise Fratto and Maylene Weber of Leone Candeli, which is of course right over there. And Cynthia Abbey Naked, who I interviewed for my show LA Unscripted, and she is the founder of a great piece of functional jewelry from the Coley Collective. We also have a celebrity chef, Serena Poon, and her new product, Just Add Water, and a series of 4 mom influencers from our millennial mom herself, host Jenna Barnett. It's all influence, influence, influence in this issue of Focus Magazine. Get your copy today on newsstands or online, and be sure to watch our companion video features as well, because we are the only magazine in the country providing a robust video complement to our print features. I'm Jessamine Moyer, coming to you from the Focus TV studios in West Hollywood. Thanks for watching. Live from Los Angeles, welcome back to Good Morning, La La Land. We are honoring hashtag Transformation Tuesday, and we have Alicia Oxy in the house. She is an actress, author, podcaster, and you have really been able to capture what transformation is. Like the one moment, that one audition, truly transformed people's lives. Right?
The podcast, that one audition, they're pivotal moments as well as the moments that don't go so well. And what I hope is that people understand that, you know, you're constantly a work in progress with your art as well as yourself.
Which is where life letters
right?
comes in.
Yes.
Take us back to the beginning. What was the inspiration for writing this book?
Well, first of all, there was no inspiration to write it as a book. It was mostly just for myself. I was engaged to a really lovely man, and when we were in the process of breaking up, I lost all of my friends. Like, it was a big pivotal moment. So my best friend and I went on our pseudo honeymoon, and I didn't speak the whole time I was there, and I just kept praying, like, tell me how I can write him a letter to get him to understand me more. It was constantly on him. Like, I wanted him to realize that I'm great. Like, why don't you want to marry me? And then we hiked up Mount Sinai, and I'll never forget the whole way up there. I kept praying. Shooting stars were going by, and I'm like, I'm gonna get answers at the top of this mountain. I mean, Moses got the 10 Commandments. Whoever's the big guy in the sky is gonna give it all to me. We get to the top, and I'll never forget. All the consolations were out, but then there was a perfect question mark. And I was so angry. And I was like, what? I looked at my friend, I was like, am I seeing this? Like, what? Like, there's nobody. And then there's just nobody. You don't know either, like, what's supposed to happen? So the sun comes up, we hike down. I'm terrified of heights. You know, there's the cliff edge, things are happening. And I just started praying. I was like, I just don't know then what I'm supposed to do anymore. And clear as day, the letters are for you, is all I heard. The letters are for you, right? You need the support. Because I didn't have that support system built within myself. And I think in order to really, truly help yourself, it has to come from within. Everybody around you can support you and give you the advice that you need to hear, but if you're not settled in yourself, how are you gonna receive it? So I was like, okay, I'll write myself letters. Like, I didn't know what that meant, but I started this process, and it completely transformed who I was. Down to the man that I'm married to now. We were friends during that point, and I never saw him that way. And I ended up publishing these for my wedding, because the last letter that I opened, the topic was travel. And the first line to myself was, whoever asks you to go on vacation, you must say yes. And we had just been friends, and he asked, he's like, do you want to go to Israel? And I was like, oh, myself says I have to say yes, and I was like, yeah. And then here we are. We've been married for 3 years. So I published the books at that point for the wedding, and also people kept asking me, like, what is this process that you're doing? And I felt really selfish holding on to it because it helped me. So the book was just, if it helps one other person, you know, it's a delight.
That's so beautiful. I'm wondering, how did you really teach yourself to trust your own intuition?
Well, I did a couple different self-help practices. I treated myself like a partner. You're so forgiving, you're so open, you're so excited when you meet a new partner. So I tried to turn that on myself. Like, I tried to be excited and give myself that forgiveness. And at the end of every letter, I wrote, I love you, which sounded so cheesy, and it was so hard for me to write. But then at the end of my first year of letters, I felt love for myself. I felt excited for myself.
Beautiful.
I felt forgiveness for myself.
It's so relatable.
I embraced my flaws, like, know your strengths and know your weaknesses. And I figured out those and how I can just accept who I am.
Right. I love that you're relatable and vulnerable like that, because I think people out there probably view someone like you, they're like, oh, she's made it, you know, she must just be born, like it's just easy for her in life. And I think it's so important to share your story. And so thank you so much for doing all that. What would you say for someone that's out there that has not found that inner voice, that has not started writing to themselves? Is this a book about that for them to write letters?
The one thing that I like calling it a self-help book, because I have my own issues with self-help. I have thousands of self-help books that end up either making me feel worse about myself or, excuse me, it just takes me forever to finish. So this is 57 pages, because I wanted you to be able to read it at lunch and go, ooh, that's cool, I'm not doing that. I spend 6 months waiting, or, oh, I really like this, I can do this. So it's a very simple step-by-step process, and it gives some examples in there. I do truly think that in order to help yourself, you have to have patience. Like, we all expect it to be better the next day. And when I was very much depressed. When I was depressed, somebody said to me, enjoy this time, because you'll never be as creative or as full of life. And I was like, how can you say that to somebody that's depressed? That's so weird. I do miss that time, because I was really grounded and centered in myself, and it took a year for me to, like, fully come around. So anybody I think that's in a struggling place right now, like, just give yourself time. You give your partners time, you give your children time, you give your family time. Give yourself time to come full circle.
Right.
Well, I'm going to take a little time for myself. I hope it doesn't take me a year.
It shouldn't.
And it's such a great, we're all voracious readers here, and I just love books, and I particularly love thin books because I always felt like the challenge is to say what you want to say, but say it quickly and simply and effectively, And you've really done that with this book, and just want to point that out. Who have been some of the authors that have inspired you?
Oh, I am a huge fan of Jodi Picoult. Do you guys know who she is?
No.
She has written so many lovely books. What I love about her books is every chapter shifts to a different person's perspective, and as an actress, I love that. Like I just, when I went on this pseudo honeymoon with my best friend, I read 8 of her books during that time. I wasn't talking much on that. Just diving into Jodi. I was like, thank you for all your characters. It was a silent treatment. So she's always been my favorite go-to.
Wow, I love that.
Having the opportunity to play other roles, did that help in your own personal healing?
Oh, this whole transformation at this point?
Well, yeah, your just personal transformation. I mean, has there been anything you've learned from the roles that you've played?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many rich roles that I've been able to have the privilege to play, and I think they all kind of live within me. Unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, I usually tend to gravitate towards the really misunderstood characters, or bad characters, as people call them. So what I've always learned is just that everybody is just a turn away from understanding themselves, as well as having the world understand them. So I think that maybe helped with just the patience and perspective, constant perspective.
That's so beautifully said. Absolutely. I remember listening to an interview before when you mentioned there was a certain audition that you had with Mark Teschner. Tell me a little bit about it.
I don't think Mark knows all these details. So I quit a bar job in May. Just like, I was like, I'm just done bartending. I had a couple of acting jobs that came through. Well, I didn't do a really good job of saving, so I literally was down. I had less than $100. I know that. I don't remember the exact amount. I got this audition for General Hospital, and it was one of those things where every friend I saw, they're like, oh my God, are you going in for General Hospital? I read this and I thought of you. And I was like, this is a nice feeling. But it was a very ethereal, kind of out there character. She spoke in rhymes, and it was an interesting character, but I was so excited about it. Like I just dove right into this like whimsical kind of character. So I had 3 or 4 auditions with Mark, who is by far the best casting director to have opposite of you. It's not a casting director, it's a very warm environment, like he said. He knows his lines, he's off book, he gives you so much. And we had so much fun during the audition. So during the test, one of my other girlfriends, Cody Kitchen, who was repped by the same management company, also was testing. So we went in, we did our things. I went in before Cody, and I came out and I just bawled. I think because she'd been with me for so long. And that audition, particularly the test, I did some really outlandish things. I remember I took off my shoes. I was kind of like floating around the room. I kneeled at one point. I'd lost complete control of Alicia, and the woman in white had really blossomed. So when I left, just this like disconnect all of a sudden. Like I didn't know if I get to play in her world anymore. And also I didn't know how I was gonna pay rent. So just the flood of emotions came over me. So much so I couldn't drive back home. So I drove to my manager's office so I could just sit there and collect myself, not thinking that she also reps the other girl. So I am bawling in her waiting room, and I was like, I am not an emotional person around auditions like this, and she didn't know what to do with me. I was like, I'm sorry, I'm gonna get myself together. And then the phone call comes in, and you know it's Mark, and I was like, oh, this is horrible. I am gonna be bawling in her room, and they're calling to book Cody. I just had that. I was like, oh God, here we go. Side note also, before this, I was meditating a lot, and I did a walk on the beach, and I was like constantly just trying to practice keeping myself present, and the thing that came through was there's enough for everyone. So I just focused on that. There's enough for everyone. There's enough for everyone. Went into the audition, sitting, bawling, crying. And I'll never forget, Susan came out, and she had her hands above her head, and she was like, well, I'll be damned. I was like, just tell me. She's like, you both got it.
Wow.
And I was waterworks crying even more, because I was like, what do you mean? How did we both get it? gave Cody another part, and I got the woman in right, and we both got to work on this show together. We had dressing rooms across from each other, but it was such a testimony to there is enough. Like, there is enough. We don't have to be competitive with each other, and I've always had that feeling. I don't know why I'm built this way, but it gives me so much joy when my friends work, and that just was a true testament to that feeling for me.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, speaking of, let's take a little break, and we'd love to bring Mark back and speak with both of you together and hear about the journey and what it's been like. So stay tuned, you guys. We will be right back. Welcome back to Good Morning La La Land. We're talking about transformation and how these two amazing people came together in their one moment that shifted and transformed their lives. So cool. I love the story.
Oh, thank you.
Did you know all that about the guys?
I didn't know the background of the, emotional breakdown.
In your opinion, what happened during that audition when she booked the woman in white?
Okay, well, first of all, in my 28 years there, it was the strangest role I'd ever had to cast. Character's name was Woman in White. I don't think you even had a name other than Woman in White.
I didn't for like 8 weeks after shooting.
And it was this very ethereal role with rhyme and poetry. It was a complicated role, and one of the most challenging, because you had asked earlier what's a challenging role. But I remember the callback, the final callback. We were in the producer's office. I read with the actors, and it was a room of producers. And I very vividly remember your audition. You took your shoes off, and then at one point you came to me and you kneeled down and did the scene, half of it like on your knees. And when you left...
Strong choice there.
But here's the beauty of it, and it relates to kind of what you're talking about, where an event happens. And when you left, aside from the fact that you're a lovely actress, people were the room was so connected, and the writers were in the room too. They were so connected to the fact that you did all that and connected on the knees. Nobody had done that, and it was so spontaneous and in the moment. And it's a great example of, you talk about paths and, oh, this happened and that happened. You did the work. Things don't spontaneously happen if you don't do the work. But you did the work, and something in that moment became very real and authentic. It's not like you were, I know for a fact you weren't rehearsing, I'm going to take my shoes off and getting down on my knees. But it was brave, it was very vulnerable, and it basically was the catalyst for the conversation that got you the job. And it's nothing you planned. It just, something happened. There was something very authentic about the moment. And that's a great example of you just sometimes you just have to take a chance and go on this gut instinct. And it's one of the auditions that I mean, obviously I can't remember every audition, but it was one of the auditions that I totally remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was why I was wrecked afterwards, because everything that I did in the room, every time I went in to audition for you, something different came out. And I treated it like Shakespeare, and I every night would really work with it. So what I did in that final callback, I left and I was like, what did I just do? I took my shoes off, I was kneeling, and I was so vulnerable that I think that's why I bawled. Like, it really evoked some crazy emotion out of me.
Wow.
And then I got it.
Right?
And then I was really like, then it was like, what do I do with this character?
Well, we're very touched by it, right?
It was a tricky
role.
It was fun.
It was Shakespearean.
Right. And I do believe that when we're touching and growing into a new character of our life, a new chapter, a new form, a quantum leap, if you will, that we have to let go of something. And I know that probably that crying, that emotional release was letting go of something that really was ready to be let go of so that you could go to the next level.
Absolutely. I think as an artist, there's an element, a facade of control, and I feel like that was the first time in my career that I really let the work come out of me, and I didn't control how the audition was going to go. So therefore I was so surprised even with my own work that that's what evoked that emotion. Like, I left and I was like, oh, I didn't do what I planned, or I didn't control it. And that was a beautiful lesson for me as an artist.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for everything. We really, really appreciate it. It's an amazing transformational Tuesday, and just want to say thank you guys for all of joining. Please like, share, and comment. Important to support the people that you love, the actors that you love, the shows that you love, because there's so much noise out there. It's important to stay tuned to what is your truth, right?
Absolutely. We are Good Morning La La Land, America's first live streaming daily talk show, coming to you Monday through Friday live at 9 a.m. on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. It's going to be a Good Morning La La Land.
Cheers. Thanks so much for coming, you guys. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a great story.
So I love that story.